You don't usually go 3, 2, 1. You just go 3, 2, and then you point.
Okay. And 1.
No, you never say 1.
Never?
No.
Okay. All right.
Are numbers moving?
Well, numbers are moving. We're at 10 seconds.
We did 10 seconds of show already?
Already, yeah.
Wow.
And this is where I say, welcome back to another edition of Gamma World. Gamma World. We need effects.
We do.
We do need some effects. Because that's pathetic. That's just you saying and I'm saying.
Well, it's all right.
Okay, that's fine. Well,
listen, at least there's going to be a file, hopefully, this time.
We should probably talk about that, yeah. So there's a reason why we haven't been back for a little bit, because we had a slight...
Slight?
What we call it?
Slight.
It's not even... Is it a faux pas? It's a
it's
technical
beyond faux
glitch?
pas. No. I'm
a snafu? Is it a snafu?
I'm a... for someone who's in IT, I should be ashamed of myself, because I how many files did I lose now?
Well, not officially. That was one.
No, I think 3 so far. This show.
We missed 3.
Yeah,
we did the one fight. Did we miss a whole nother episode? No.
Well, we missed a whole section of the one.
Yeah, that was the first time. That was with the
Yeah. No, we lost a show,
road trip,
then a section of a show, and now a whole show again.
Okay. Well, that wasn't even probably 2 full shows though.
Oh, well,
we're not doing bad. If we get to 2 shows.
What about the show when I died? And we thought I had to edit it together, and we were concerned that it looked like we were faking it.
Well, that was the second part.
So that's 4.
No, is it though?
Yeah.
I don't remember.
Because you made me roll saves, remember? And all the rolls, none of the rolls
but
were recorded.
Yeah, though, that's good though.
Well, no, but it looked, if anyone who wants to go back to that show, it looks like we cheated.
No, I don't know if anybody ever noticed that. You just called us out on that. Nobody even noticed.
No, but it looks that way. That was why I was so pissed, because it was like we did it legitimate and we couldn't even still didn't.
Well, I mean, look, we're not professional broadcasters, nor are we professional audio engineers.
No,
if you saw where we're sitting with what we have,
it's a pretty good bunker.
No, it is.
It's just not a good recording studio.
Yes, the bunker is great. The walls, the structure, the skeleton is amazing.
We have plenty of whiskey for bartering.
Yeah. Oh no.
And ammunition.
And lots of gallon jugs for urine.
For urine and socks.
And socks, yes.
But we don't have anyone behind the glass.
It's pretty much 3 wires and some earbuds and 2 little. We're not even talking into real microphones. It's earbuds.
We're talking into the. What was that thing when you were a kid? Did you have one of those? It was like a little handheld radio, and it came with a little plastic microphone, and you could sing. Well, I had the microphone that you could actually tune to a particular FM
Mr.
frequency.
Microphone. That's Mr. Microphone.
There's that was. And
hey,
you could
good looking. I'll be back to pick you up later.
And it would come through your radio, through your boombox.
Yeah, it had a modulator.
Yeah, we have 2 of those.
Yeah, it's pretty much it. And you're tuned to 94.7 here in New Jersey.
And NJ. We need some call letters.
W.
And we're drinking. What are we drinking?
BSB, brown sugar bourbon. And I have a. You
know what I like about this?
Mm.
And I know this isn't exactly. This is technically the role playing show, and usually we don't do this role playing show. But it smells like fall.
It does, doesn't it?
It smells like. I don't know. It smells like autumn leaves and apples. It's got like a nice. I could taste the red leaves in this. No, it's good.
The sweetness is there. It's really prevalent, but it's also still bourbon, so it's really nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's made by.
It's not like maybe some bourbon purist would turn his nose up to it.
Oh no, yeah,
but screw that. It tastes good.
No, I knew the minute I gave my wife a shot of this and she liked it that she's like, oh, it's bourbon. I'm like, trust me, you'll like this. And she's like, ooh, that's really good.
Yeah, yeah. It's only what proof? It's only 30%, so it's only 60 proof. Most bourbons are 40 and up %. So they made it nice and mellow and gave it nice flavor. It's good. Thanks for bringing it.
No, I appreciate it. No, that's the part of the fellowship that we share, and we also share with you, the viewers, this story that we're sharing. And so, what we're going to try to do is we're going to try to go over with some level of gravitas.
Can I say something?
Okay, go ahead.
That last show, I'm sorry I keep interrupting you. But that role-playing show, we recorded it before the crying show when we both broke down and cried.
Yes. It was emotional, yeah.
That was one of our best nights of podcasting. And I think since we started. I mean, we had some, I think if you went back and listened to, which I've done, you should do it now. Go back and listen to some really like early shows where we decided we were going to just record us trying to figure out the show. And that's some hilarious stuff. I mean, we're literally unplugging stuff and plugging stuff back in. It's hilarious.
Yeah. That
stuff is maybe a little genius in its own way. But then we hit this, all right, we're recording normally. And then we fell into our groove. But then that show, I think, was one of our best shows because you brought us, role-playing wise, we got to this moment that we've been building up to. And then it played out. Like it was completely improvised and it played out with, I don't know, you could explain what happened, but I was upset. I remember when I tried downloading it to my computer and I downloaded 2 files and I played the one file and it was the crying episode. And then I went to get the role-playing episode to run that through our audio editor, and it was only 4 seconds long.
Yeah.
And I was like, what? And then I started searching the digital recorder. I started searching my computer. I said, I did something wrong. Unplugging, replugging going on. And I don't think it took me like 3 days to even tell you. I think it was like Wednesday. I was like, I finally had to work up the guts to call you to tell you that I ruined another fucking show.
I need to talk to you. And I'm like, what is going on? I'm like,
it was like I was breaking up with you.
I know. And I'm like, you're like, I don't know how to tell you this, but I'm like, I know. And
then you didn't talk to me you ghosted me for about 7 or 8 days. I haven't spoken to you in a while. It's been a while since I spoke to you.
We haven't even texted until I said, because we've been busy too, but just in general. But then I was also just kind of like, you're right. I mean, the crying show that we did was like, this was a seeding. We seeded it with that and the emotion of the role-playing show.
Right.
And I think we had very raw nerves for that second show.
Yep.
I don't think it took much for us to cry because, like I said, we had created this emotional point, which I'll be honest with you, and we'll pull the veil back and let's treat this kind of like a fourth wall breaking show because we don't usually do
behind the scenes.
Yeah, but
this is the Blu-ray
commentary. Yeah, so I think the Timberland thing happened a little bit sooner than I wanted Timberland to happen. Like I wanted some other stuff to happen, but I was fine with it. And I'm like everything else, I rolled the punches and we did it. But I think I would have rather had been maybe 5 or 6 episodes down the road. I had some other things I wanted to do first.
Now, let me ask you, because now, again, as a new role-playing game player and you being the DM or the GM, what you said you wanted it to happen later. What caused it to happen sooner? Was it that you felt pressure for it to happen sooner, or was it my play that was driving this thing quicker to where it was going? Like,
no, you definitely pushed, which I think organically it made sense. I think you were like, well, this is what I would do. This is what I would do. I would want to go home. I'm free to go home. I should go home, right? And you kind of drove it, which was fine. I'm like, okay, well, let's do it sooner. I think it had a lot of impact. And then once again, if we're able to recover it, that'll be amazing and it'll appear. Right. And I think we'll still post this, but I think, I would have waited. Works. I would have waited a little bit more. I think the real benefit that we have for your character, and I know he's not exactly the way that you drew him up, but I think we're emotionally developing your character, like in a way, like right live, like improvisationally, like we're developing him and creating these boundaries so that once this foundation is laid, like who he is, like everyone will know who he is because they experienced his journey to that place, right?
It's been a while since you've been in front of
it. It is. No, I even felt about this because you told me today. I said, I don't know what we're going to do about the role-playing show because I kind of put it on hold because I was kind of like, fuck, we lost that show and it was fucking gold. And like I said, it wasn't about blaming anybody. I was just like, oh man, I can't believe we did that again. And I'm like, fuck, that really sucks. And you're like, let's do it again. I'm like, I don't know that we could create it again and have it the same. Like, it'll just be us going. And other shows have done it. but I've even felt like they're just kind of filling in the blanks, and so we'll see if we can recover it. But we'll also talk through what kind of happens. That way, if it pops up, it'll be even better if we can recover the show. It'd be like, oh shit, there it is. What all this talk was about.
Right.
This episode.
Well, you said you have some tools or something that you found.
There's a couple applications that can recover deleted files and lost files, because even if it's not there, it doesn't overwrite the file, is my understanding.
Really? So
it doesn't. It makes it invisible, but it's still there. It's a raw file hidden. It won't overwrite it until it gets to the point where it needs to overwrite it. That's what I read. So let's see.
Oh, so it's possible to. Well, yeah. When you looked at the storage just now, I'm telling you that's like 2 more files than I remember having.
I was reading some stuff. So there's a WinRAR application that's free. I know I have it on my MacBook Pro that I can run it into, and we'll see. I also have a bunch of Apple and Adobe tools on my MacBook. I know you disagreed that.
No, I was just
IT guys
fun
don't
of your
use
iPad.
Mac. Okay, that's fine. My iPad is completely for fun. There's nothing serious going on.
I have fun with my Surface.
Okay. You and Bill Gates.
I was able to plug in my digital recorder into it without a dongle.
You and Bill Gates have a wonderful time with your Surface.
Sorry.
I'm over here with my Apple.
All right, sorry.
Good with that. All right, so
if you find it, that'll be. If you could use that tool and dig it up, that'll be really cool.
If not, we're sorry, and I think we're as distraught about as anyone be to lose it. But we've been on this road before, so we're going to move forward. So let's try to talk. So at the end of the last show, as everyone might remember, Micho.
No one's going to remember. No one heard it.
No, Micho returned to Timberland. Let's go back to the show before the show.
Oh, the show before that show.
Micho returned to Timberland and the ruins of Timberland, right?
That's right, yes.
And it had been gutted by fire, and he found who he learned eventually was his uncle, and that was the end of that episode, right?
Right, I went to go get the shovel.
Yeah.
And he passed away, that also was totally, we happened to be joking the whole episode about how the last time I needed a shovel and I didn't have a shovel. And then we get there, and then we're at the end, and my uncle dies in Timberland right in front of me. And I said, and then I'm walking back distraught, and it just hits me.
Yeah,
I'm gonna go get my shovel.
No,
it was like, the shovel. It was like foreshadowing
without trying.
And it was like, that was like pretty awesome.
But see, now we're peeling back the veil here.
Yeah,
like
a little too much.
Yeah, because
we were patting ourselves on the back.
Yeah, but no, it was smart. But it would be better if it seemed like it was planned.
No, I don't know what's what. It's more impressive if it's planned or if it's not planned.
No, you're right. I guess you're right.
It's not even impressive about on our part. It's I think marked the beauty of role playing, of improvising, on how those cool things just happen on their own, auto magically.
Yeah, organically. Like I said to you, we could try to do it, but it's not as organic as.
No,
and you already when you know, then you react differently when you know the way things are going to go, right?
I start forcing things.
And then also, like, what are you going to change and potentially change the narrative when it's already been written technically, right? So that's the trick of what we're doing. So I think we're already talking about doing like double backups and things so that we don't have to double back and do these things again. And we don't have to continue to backtrack and
buy another digital recorder.
Yeah, which we're going to do anyway.
Open up a Patreon soon.
Yeah,
for all this equipment.
Go fund me or something. So Micho stood up from the body of his recently deceased uncle, and he looked at the shell that he once was. There wasn't a lot of dialogue in the episode. There was a lot of just actions, and him kind of robotically going through this, almost like in a trance-like state of just walking through the streets and looking for any sign of life, and seeing just bodies laying in these awkward piles all over every avenue, every street, every alcove had a body laying there, mostly men.
Yeah, and he was catatonic. You said, he was just not.
He was just on autopilot. Yeah. Frank was very quiet and very still.
Yep.
Gloom disappeared.
which was awesome too.
Which was interesting, yeah. And Micho just continued to just walk through the streets and of like the shell.
And Micho didn't even notice that Gloom disappeared.
No, yeah, because you were in your own moment, right? Why would you?
Right,
it was,
exactly.
Even Frank was just a secondary to you. Like he was just kind of,
and he didn't even know what to do with himself.
No, and he was very supportive too. Like,
and he was more supportive than I thought he was going to be.
Yeah, than expected. Yeah, and you realize Frank maybe is a better guy.
He's a better guy than I thought.
Than he appears. Yeah. And walking around, and there was no sign of life.
All the shit is lost.
Yeah, no, it's not. We're going to find it. Either way, whatever. You know what? You know what we do? We make
so many
more.
nuances of
we
characters.
Make more. No, it was great, dude. You did great work. I mean,
no, you did too. I mean,
it's amazing how much you have.
Listen, this is why we were crying in the second one.
I do believe we were very raw, emotionally raw. We were exposed like a raw nerve. So. Anyway, so walk through the streets.
What do we do now? Yeah, go ahead.
Looking for any sign of life. There was none. So you went back to the space with your uncle, and you dug a grave and you buried him. And Frank helped you bury him. And then you proceeded to walk around more, looking for more people. Frank started to drag bodies to the center of town and line them up, and get wood and line them up. And you also turned around and started to help him. You had collected some weapons, various weapons, carbine rifles and bows and some spears and things like that you would put to the side. But for the most part, there was nothing left. You had identified your uncle's workshop where he once lived. You could kind of see the shell of where your house was.
Yeah.
And then as memory serves me,
I found a piece of the sign from the shop. I used it as a headstone.
Yeah,
right?
It happened to be the right size, and you drove it into the ground, and you used his name as a headstone. Now, this is where I'm going to have to open my book because I do have some other people's names who appeared.
Yeah, some people appeared.
Yes, and
two people.
Uncle Ken. What was his last name? Ken.
Yep. Oh, yeah. He did have a last name.
I gave him a last name. Hold on, let me look here. Ken Terrace, the deceased uncle. So you had found the sign of his workshop that said Terrace, lumber, and it had mostly burned, but the terrace part was there in kind of a spear, and you speared in the ground. You made a headstone, and then you were over with the bodies when you heard somebody coming up behind you, and you saw 3 Utes.
Oh, there's 3 of them.
Yeah, there was 3 of them. Yeah. It was Rowan, Bundy's, and Elwyn. Rowan was angry. Bundy's was crying.
Yes.
And Elwyn was helping Bundy's, who was crying.
Right, but because the crying one was the youngest. He was pretty young, if I remember correctly.
He was the youngest, yeah. Three boys, hunters, gatherers. They were armed, but they had apparently been out on some kind of expedition and came back, and they discovered
And the eldest wanted blood.
Yes. They also provided some information, as memory serves me, about that the Cybergs had taken your mother, and they had disappeared.
Right. No, my uncle.
Oh, your uncle gave you that. You're right.
Yes, he said that.
But they had confirmed that it was the cyborgs as well, because didn't they seem to know who did it? Right?
Yes,
somehow.
And they described a little bit the machine, and that had gone off in some direction.
So after some conversations, some coaxing, they realized that you were not there as a part of the
at first they were threatened by me.
Yep. But that they had kind of recognized you, even, I believe that they.
Well, the eldest one would have been around my age.
Yeah, that's what we determined.
So someone that I might have even played with as a little boy.
Yeah, and they had known that you were taken, and had kind of recognized you in some way.
Mm-hmm.
And they turned around and helped you guys to create a funeral pyre for all the bodies.
Right, which is very emotional for them and me.
And you burned the bodies of the people of Timberland that were remaining.
Right.
And proceeded to kind of camp out, and you moved away from the pyre because it was too hot
and smelled.
Yeah. And you had camped. The one kid continued to cry. You had gotten food for everyone. You had started to settle in.
Frank did. Frank fed us.
You're right. Frank became very fatherly.
He did. Yeah. He started taking care of everybody,
and he was like a caregiver all of a sudden. And you put food out, and you were ready to go. You wanted to go like immediately and try to.
Well, the oldest kid the oldest kid was ready to go, and I was initially I was calming him down.
Mm-hmm.
I remember telling him that how he was all that was left of my town, and these 3 kids, and I was going to lose them too, type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
I remember having that conversation with him and trying to calm him down. But then, when Gloom finally pops up,
and he kind of walked out of the darkness,
right? He starts telling us some intel, and then I start seeing blood.
And then you were ready to run out.
Right. And then I think Frank, if I remember, Frank started to talk me down a little bit.
Well, Frank had said, let's be clear.
Yeah.
We're also here to do stuff for Bling, right? And we have a certain responsibility to him.
Right, he said that, yeah.
And Gloom had assured you that they weren't moving very fast. Mm-hmm. They hadn't gotten very far away. They were very easy
Gloom
to track.
Knew everything.
Yeah, he had a tremendous amount
the
of
whole
intel.
Time it turned out he was on point.
Yeah, he must have went and just immediately he went into action of like there was no time for grieving. I'm like, let's find these motherfuckers.
Right. He was pure robotic spy. He just went on and did his whole. This is what I liked about the episodes, that everyone did what you would expect them to do.
It's funny too because that was the whole second episode was you saying people don't that wasn't something that you thought somebody would do. Remember we talked about the superhero show and you're like, oh yeah, that doesn't seem, and it was funny that you mentioned that because it just kind of tied the two things together, which was it made sense to you because people did what was within their character,
right? And
to go outside their character would be the exception,
right?
Which makes total sense. You build a character and you have an expectation,
right?
This is the kind of stuff that they would do. So and that's where we kind of left off. We left off with we're gonna get these motherfuckers.
Right,
we're gonna pick them off. The plan is to pick them off
a little bit at a time, with the slow moving machinery. But Gloom made it like that. It was just so slow, and we kind of knew where they were headed, so that we just decided to rest. And then I think you even had a nightmare. You even rolled up a nightmare.
Yes, there was a nightmare. It was a robotic woman. Naked to the. She had a robotic head, but a human body, naked to the waist. And she was surging towards you. You were encompassed in grief. She struck you, and you could taste the blood in your mouth, and all you could hear was her robotic laughter,
something like that. Yeah,
trailing off. And it was a good. Yeah, that was another piece. I'm like, I don't know if I could ever. I'm like, you're like, let's do it again. I'm like, I don't know if I could ever do that again, because I literally rolled it up, and I was like, totally improving something.
Right. Yeah.
So.
All right.
But that's kind of where we left.
That's where we left.
Yeah, and I think that's what we wanted to kind of do a little bit here. We could do a little bit. We want to do a little bit of role playing.
Well, what do you want to do? You want to see if you can to get that file, or you and
we can get the file still, but I wouldn't want to. So I mean, I think this is going to get published either way, right? I mean,
yeah. I mean, just to give people an update as to what happened, and also, that's why we were missing a week.
Yeah.
And then we still missed weeks.
Well, there were 2 or 3 other weeks because of all the baseball games and stuff.
Baseball games that I've been working like.
Is that why you haven't slept in 2 days?
Yeah, and I actually still haven't slept in 2 days. I'm going to fall on my face.
Okay.
But I don't know. Just been working crazy hours, and trying to, I come home and then late, and then I try and like catch like the last. Half inning of my kid's game, and it rains on us, and I mean, it's been crazy. You have 2 kids chasing around with baseball, and work too. So I don't know. It was just this whole past like maybe 6 weeks have been absolutely crazy. So it was a lot of that. If there was a Friday where I was good, you weren't, and if you were good, I wasn't. And it was really so there was some of that too, and on top of that was this missing file.
Yeah, which I think we were both crushed about.
Yeah, we were both like, really upset about.
I think that's the thing. I think our hearts are always like, I wish we could do this every fucking day.
Yeah, I know, really.
I was like, I don't want to work. I'd rather sit here and do this all day.
Well, yeah, I mean
we could tell a fucking epic like Beowulf level fucking tale here of this character.
Exactly. Who wouldn't want to do this all day long? But we unfortunately are not in that position. So it that's why we haven't been as reliable as we would have liked to be. So I think that one of the things that we were just talking about too is that's why I think this show should just be about explaining the stuff, setting future expectations,
Mm-hmm.
telling people what we're working on. I think that we should maybe release every other week,
Mhm.
so that way if we get together and we do 2 shows in a day, we could. That is more likely of us being
it's more
pulled off
realistic.
and more realistic for us, at least for the time being. Maybe when the kids get a little bit older, it'll be a little bit easier, or they'll be a little bit they require a little less hand holding and stuff. Though we're both of us are very close with our kids too, so we kind of put them first, and probably as it should be. So, there's always going to be that.
Maybe we even do a role playing show with the boys, and we have
they
them play
do want to
an
do.
NPC.
They have been busting our chops about being on the show with us. We may do that in some fashion, or maybe even do like a kids art role playing. My son wanted to play Hero Quest.
Hero Quest, okay.
Which I have the books for, the role play, the PDFs for.
Okay.
Really basic stuff. My Mouse King, Rat King in the dungeon type of stuff.
Yeah.
But I've played it with him and he enjoyed it. Maybe we could do something like that. But anyway, that's a separate thing. But I just I think that if we're a little bit more regular, it'll be a little bit more fair to people who listen.
I think what I would like to do once too, if there were enough people to have enough questions, is we do, and a lot of the shows do this when they have a role playing show, is especially when there's more shape to the world, is you do like a Q&A show where people ask questions.
Right.
I don't know if there's enough questions to ask or there's enough mysteries for people to wonder yet. We haven't built it to that level, but I think I like I said, we feel like we're always
we've got a couple of questions.
We have. Like what?
Yeah. We got a couple of YouTube questions. We got a couple of email questions, but I had answered them. I'm also stupid.
Oh, you answered them before we got on the air?
Yeah, I should have. I should just answer. We should answer the questions on the air.
I think I feel like we're apologizing so much, but I think it's because we care. We're passionate about it.
I'd like if someone who's watching it, listening to it, right, and enjoying it.
Well, no, I know how I would feel if I was waiting for the next episode and the fucking next episode never came. I would be pissed off.
Yeah, no, I'd just be like, well, screw this show.
Yeah, fuck those guys.
Yeah. So I kind of we feel bad about it. So we'll get it lined up that way.
Yeah,
I think if, like I said, every other week, if we could find this file. I guess we're going to maybe buy another recorder, or maybe we're going to split the audio into a laptop.
Yeah, we'll figure out another way to get a backup. We can't do that again.
We can't do that again.
Yeah, we can't do it again. So we'll figure it out. If the next episode pops up, all the better. You'll get this one and the next one.
Yeah, then that'll be an extra bonus
and then
episode, the lost episode.
But you know what?
It won't be anywhere as good as we just said.
Here's what I'll say out there. If anybody, what do you want to hear more of? What character do you want to hear more about? Whose backstory do you want to hear?
No, what do you mean?
What do you want to know? I think people.
No.
Let's let them out. I mean, they're the fans. They should drive part of the show. You don't think so?
No.
Fuck them?
No, I didn't say fuck them, but
you kind of did though.
No, I mean we got to take the story where it's going to go.
No, the story will go where it's going.
Can't go where the audience says. What is this? The Masked Singer?
Yeah, but I'm also interested
on who continues.
But I think what people are interested in, maybe we can explore it. It doesn't necessarily mean
they can email us questions.
That's what I'm saying, yeah.
Well, they can email us their thoughts and their favorite stuff, but that doesn't mean I don't want to give them the false impression that we're going to change.
We're going to absolutely. Oh no, absolutely not. I won't do anything I don't want to do. But
well, that's what I'm saying. So we talking about
because I have a million things already made up in my mind.
I know. So you already know how it ends. You're going to find a way to pigeonhole me into it.
No, not really. Kidding. I know what I want to do, not how it ends.
Okay.
Is it a comedy or is it a tragedy?
Oh, I don't know.
Well, I guess we'll find out. Maybe it's a comic tragedy.
I never got that though.
No?
Well, you have the whole comedy tragedy thing.
That's a theater thing. It's dramatic.
Like if a happy ending is a comedy in the classical sense.
Mm-hmm.
Rocky was a comedy, according to literature studies or whatever you call it.
But was it? But here we're going to.
No, we're going to
talk about Rocky.
Yeah, but okay, so you're. I think that's we'll end this episode. I think
that's about. We're right about 30 minutes, so I think that's a reasonable amount of time.
Yeah,
we get the word out there.
In. I don't want to half-ass a role-playing game episode, just in case we can recover that file. Then we could pick up the show from right at that point.
This is our
if we can't recover that file, then we'll just give you got this explanation,
and we're going to jump right into it.
And we'll just give another quick
A
synopsis,
quick synopsis. Yeah.
and then jump right into continuing forward, hopefully with better recording equipment.
Well, I feel-
are we recording?
We are recording, yeah. According to this, we're 29 minutes and 19,
By the way,
20,
I took
21.
the recorder and I gave it to Chris so that if it ever happens again, Chris could feel bad instead of me.
I don't know that I could feel worse.
Yeah, right.
But
No, but
I'll
I mean,
feel worse.
you'll feel worse.
Yeah, I will,
if
yeah.
you're in charge of that recorder and that happens, because I felt like that too many times already. So,
All right. Well, I will take that burden from you.
well, and what's going to happen is that it's not going to happen ever again,
Okay.
and that'll be further proof of how shitty I am at running the recorder. Because you're going to be like, you're going to turn around and say, well, as soon as you gave it to me, it stopped happening.
No, I
And
would
you'll
never.
be right.
I would never do that. I would
I
never
know you
do
wouldn't
that to you.
say that.
I would
but
let you feel that way.
You wouldn't let me feel
but
that.
I would never say.
I know you would never say it. Go ahead.
I would just. That would be.
On that note,
All right. On that note, guys, look. You know what? We love you guys. We're
it's
working on it. I don't think we're trying to make excuses. We're trying to be better. Like I said, we're passionate about it. We're not going anywhere.
No.
So
No,
keep,
that. I mean, listen, we're definitely not going anywhere.
yeah, and keep listening, and the story will continue.
The show must go on.
And keep your wasabi peas, bitches, or something like that.
Yeah, I don't have one of those. I gotta get one.
Which button am I hitting?
You're hitting the
Stop.
fuck. I don't remember.
This is
See,
this is high
what's gonna
pressure.
happen again. I think
I would think it would stop.
I think I would hit the record button and it stops.